Hello, my name is Nathan Camp, and today we're answering a question we hear all the time. What does it take to become legally ordained? If you've searched online, you know the results can be overwhelming. Hundreds of millions of opinions, advice columns, and quick fix ordination sites are out there. Some are helpful, many are confusing, and some are quite simply wrong. So let's bring clarity. At StartCHURCH, we believe ordination is more than a title. It's a sacred calling, and one that deserves both spiritual and legal protection. There is a spiritual side. This is God calling a man or a woman unto the gospel. The Bible talks about being called into the ministry. The spiritual side is deeply personal. There's also a legal side. In our country, our government wants to give special privileges to those that have that spiritual calling. But since the government has no way to discern who does and doesn't have that spiritual calling, they put that discernment into the hands of churches and ministries. A court ruling once said, when a man or a woman is ordained, he or she receives legal authorization from the church or ministry to solemnize marriages and conduct religious duties under the covering of the church. Subsequently, the state recognizes that authorization and extends special privileges such as income and social security breaks. Now, let's ask this question: what makes it legal? And that is, it is a formalized process. It's here where many pastors unknowingly fall short. In fact, our research shows that around 80% of ministers in the U.S. are not legally ordained according to IRS standards. But don't worry. Today, we'll walk through the key steps to help you establish a legally valid, well-documented ordination process in your church. This will ensure that you, and those you ordain, can minister with full confidence and legal recognition. Let's start with a common myth. The myth is, I must be ordained through a large denomination. That is simply not true. You can be ordained through your own church as long as you follow the right steps. We often get asked about online ordination. They're quick, they're convenient, but often not legally valid. Take the case of Kramer versus Commonwealth. Ministers who had been ordained online tried to defend their right to perform marriages, but the courts looked deeper. What they found was concerning. No church body, no community involvement, no spiritual oversight, just a certificate from a website. Kramer versus Commonwealth says this: the intent of state law is that the church would act responsibly and select a proper person as a minister. They must be considered, deliberate, and responsible in their actions. The court's ruling made one thing clear: ordination must be meaningful, intentional, and tied to a real functioning church. Now, why does this matter? Because legal authority to officiate weddings, access clergy housing allowances, visit prisons, or claim ministerial tax benefits hinges on the legitimacy of your ordination. Now, here's the good news. You don't need a large denomination to make that happen. You can create a legitimate IRS-compliant ordination process within your own church. And here's how. Firstly, update your documents. Your articles of incorporation, bylaws, board minutes should clearly state your church's intent to license and ordain ministers. Next, set clear qualifications, required training, classes, volunteering, or ministry experience for anyone seeking ordination. Use a formal application, include a reasonable fee, and a written commitment to serve. Create a written exam. Set a defined passing score that reflects your church's standards. Hold a commissioning service. Make it official with public recognition and prayer. Assign an expiration and renewal dates. Just like many professional credentials, ordination should have an expiration date and require a renewal. And then establish a renewal process. This could be through an application or a written letter of request. And then have good records. Maintain documentation of all ordained, licensed, inactive, or revoked ministers. And then, of course, tie this to your role in the mission of your church. Their ministry should be a reflection of your church's beliefs and goals. Require ongoing connection. Ministers should attend annual conferences or church visits to maintain their ordination. Legal ordination doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to be intentional. Because ordination is not just a moment, it's a trust. A calling to serve God's people with integrity, authority, and accountability. If you're preparing to ordain ministers in your church or seeking to establish a formal process, StartCHURCH is here to help you do it right from the very beginning. Call us today, and we would love to serve. Until next time, I'm Nathan Camp reminding you, your calling is sacred. Let's protect it well.